I'm not going to be able to edit this video at the level I'd like because I've got a bunch more in the chamber. So here's the pretty much raw one we made right outside the courthouse after my hearing on October 2nd. So you can hear the reactions of my posse and what they thought and how we were treated during that hearing by a supposedly honorable court.
Of all of ours refused to answer questions, refused to administer justice, refused to acknowledge his own mistakes for many, many months, starting back in May, at least April, May, March, excuse me, so that there were legitimate questions asked for all these months that he's still refusing to answer. Horrible. So that there's so many ways that we must stand together and care that this is something that only the people can change. We're the people.
Right.
Thank you, Teresa, for all you do.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Horrifying today, yet also incredibly illuminating. And the beauty about watching Teresa at work with this is that she's a layperson. She's not an attorney. She's self-taught. So she speaks in words that everyone in the audience can understand. And incredibly valuable because it was so apparent and clear today just the deception and the avoidance of Judge Cousins. It's laughable. I mean, it's not. And bravo to Teresa for doing this and putting the energy into this, because this is something that is going to impact all of us. And we're looking forward to taking this to the next step, which is reaching out to the media and to all the groups everywhere. Everyone needs to know about this going on because they are not backing down in their deceptive behavior. And it's so obvious that it's a perfect case to be so revealing. So, bravo, Teresa.
And on
proud
YouTube,
to be your friend.
Yeah. On YouTube at theresabuccola.com, or channel at Teresa Buccola. Do yourself the favor of watching the videos. This is fascinating, amazing, entertaining even, and completely easy to rock, as you've just heard.
Oh, and you know what, Gal, and then I'm going to give the floor to Drew. I couldn't believe while I was in the middle of it that I left the judge speechless.
Yeah.
A number of times.
Yeah.
I asked him such pointed and uncomfortable questions that he was sitting there totally silent, as though he was like a deer caught in the headlights. Do you remember, you guys? Was it?
Yes.
What did I ask him about the pie? Oh, okay. So here's the other thing. He gave the floor first to my opponents, which Mr. Fay. He is completely void. He has no authority of standing to be in that courtroom. He has no authority of standing to be opposing me in this case, because his predecessor lost his partnership in the firm because of my research. So my involvement in this case was Jonathan Redford's undoing, and he had to beg for mercy from the court. He's been referred over to the Professional Standards Committee, and Judge Cousins is still attempting to compel me to disclose discovery that was all submitted by Jonathan Redford. So what I did was I raised 4 points. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to remember them right now. Okay, the one is that they were all submitted by Jonathan Redford. The second one is Faye has no business being there. The third, the most important one is that on August 19th, with full disclosure, I sent 7 attorneys a challenge of standing. And I said, you have 72 hours to respond, and I need your license to practice law, your malpractice insurance, your oath to office, your proof that you have had your ethics education put in the State Bar MCLE 2.72, and all records proving that you're admitted to practice law in this court. And if you do not respond by August 22nd at 9 a.m., that is your tacit agreement that you cannot schedule any deposition, you have no authority to litigate this case, and all the defendants are in default. Okay, full disclosure, that is a private contract. That was my fourth, even though I'm forgetting the third one right now, the fourth and most important point. And so what Judge Cousins said was, that does not obviate the court order that I put in on August 2nd. I said, excuse me, Your Honor, are private contracts between the parties honored in this court, or are they not? And we went through this, 3 minutes, 4 minutes,
Oh, many more, because you had to keep returning to it.
He would not answer the question, and at some point he said, this is true, they're valid, and those private contracts are valid and they're invalid. And I said, excuse me, you just contradicted yourself. Are they valid or are they not valid in this court? And he refused to answer. I said, this is the linchpin of why I cannot be compelled to be a willing participant in a violation of my due process rights. That was one of the...
Because that is becoming complicit, and you can't become complicit by honoring something that's not honorable.
That correct. So I believe that is, I mean, we'll hear it on the recording. There were many times, maybe somebody else can remember, he went dead silent, and all he could do was stare at me. It was really trippy. And I said, what's going on here, Your Honor? Why are you not protecting my rights? And he said, I will be protecting your rights. I said, objection, you haven't for the past 8 months. I need an answer right now. Why are you not protecting my rights? And he refused to answer.
Correct.
So, I mean, all the way around, God, in the heat of battle, I really need to eat something, and I need to smoke another cigarette, and I'm going to give the floor to Drew, and maybe if you want to say something about it.
All I can say is that I'm very honored to be with these very powerful and eloquent women today. That's all I can say.
All right. Anybody else? We're all good?
Dave, did you want to speak?
Dave,
I want to
Dave, you
say,
wanna say something?
the only thing I would like to add to all of this today is I witnessed personally a judge who I believe overstepped his boundaries and became part of the prosecution today.
Yes.
He was advising the defense on which steps to take forward to disarm the plaintiff's case here. And that was entirely
Unethical.
improper and unethical.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of you guys want to talk about how he told Faye to charge me?
Yeah. Yeah. But you want to go
Oh
first?
yeah. So the beginning of the entire hearing started with the judge virtually informing the defense that attorney's fees were not included in their motion to dismiss, and why did he do that? I saw no reason. To me, it seemed immediately apparent that he was informing the defense that they could have attorney's fees in there and did not. And I also found it, to add to what Teresa said about judge going speechless, I was entertained by the moment where he seemed to need to get out of the hot seat for a minute, so he deferred to the opposing counsel and said, hey, you know, Mr. Fay, do you have any questions for Ms. Buccola right now? And he's like, nope. I found that pretty amusing. It seemed pretty obvious to me he just was needing a break and he didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I left the federal judge speechless a number of times today, and I guess that's kind of a victory. So, but I think that's it. And it's a big crowd of people here. I don't know, what do we have? 20?
Explain a little
15.
further about the 2 judges and 2 magistrates.
Oh, okay. So, I do not think I have discussed this on a live stream yet, but I attempted to schedule a settlement conference, ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution, in August. And I sent out an email to Judge DeMarchi. She's actually a magistrate. She's not a proper judge. And I said, okay, well, according to your standing orders, we're supposed to have 3 required attendees for each defendant. And I read off ADR Local Rule 7-3. No, pardon me, this was in an email. I said, can you confirm that 3 required attendees must be present in the settlement conference? The deputy clerk wrote me back and said, you can't answer that question. You have to go to ADR Local Rule 7-3, which was identical to DeMarchi's standing orders. So she called this emergency Zoom over the phone, and Sam Dieterwell, who isn't here anymore, he said, okay, well, we're going to have the insurance agent and myself. And I said, Your Honor, can you please give some clarification on the required attendees for settlement conferences? And she said, well, yes, I'm going to allow it because Monterey is self-insured, which has nothing to do with her standing orders or local rule ADR Local Rule 7-3. So I read off that local rule. And I said, so as I'm reading this, there must be 1 person present from the public entity, the attorney of record, and the insurance agent. So under what authority are you violating your own standing orders and ADR Rule 7-3? And she said, Snotty, if you don't want to go ahead with this settlement conference, then I'll just tell Judge Cousins that you're not willing to cooperate.
Wow.
And
More
I
public
said,
employees.
Your Honor, I want this to go forward. I just want it to be according, click.
Wow.
And she hung up on me.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay? Then she canceled the settlement conference.
How long ago was this?
August something. She canceled the settlement conference. Okay, that's now 2 judges
Yeah.
involved in this.
Yeah.
I submitted a judicial notice in June. It was 27 pages illuminating all of the felonious destruction of evidence that I've been attempting to get from the defendants since January of 2021
Wow.
with repeated requests, timely litigation hold memos. It was 10 pages of this. All the notices of appearances that haven't been filed, Jonathan Redford practicing law outside jurisdiction, Dr. J.K.L. versus HPC IT Education Center, and I sent that to Richard Seaborg. He never responded. Then I said twice, this Judge Cousins needs to recuse himself from this case because it's not protecting my rights. Within 1 week, Judge Casey Pitts entered an order addressing recusal where he said, I have thoroughly investigated this case and found no sign of bias
Wow.
on the part of Judge Cousins. He stays on the case. So that is now 2 magistrates and 2 judges, 4 altogether, that are involved in colluding against the people's rights. And I know they don't like me up there.
Yeah.
I know I'm a big pain in the ass because I'm not your average pro se litigant punk, and I'm not a bar member. So
Can you describe quickly the difference between a magistrate and a judge?
the magistrate is an administrator, okay? He's not a proper judge. So that might be one of the reasons I'm having a problem up there. I do not believe that there's constitutional protections. So, but I consented to him. However, contract is law, law is contract. There was not full disclosure when I consented to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to, call him out on all of his shenanigans. And I think, I hope you're embarrassed up there, Cousins.
And I think that it's really valuable that you actually did a much greater job in June than is being done supposedly now, that you didn't comply with a void court order.
Yeah, because I'm not complying with their discovery.
Right, and
So-
they didn't comply with all of the things that you outlined in June,
That's right.
and it would have been better if they had, of course, for themselves to say that you have to.
That's right.
There's no reason why you should have to when they didn't on a much larger
He's
scale.
ignoring everything. In fact, he's right now threatening me with sanctions for reporting the felonies and for calling Faye
Right.
a wrongdoer and a pretender. He's threatening me with sanctions.
Yeah, and
Actually,
threatening
he's
you.
duty bound to report those felonies.
I know he is.
And he hasn't done it.
Yeah, and in fact, I said because it was a show cause, and so I opposed it or I objected. I don't remember what it said. It said the court is acting outside the scope of authority. It is attempting to intimidate anyone into committing crimes. Because if I don't report the felony, now I'm guilty of misprision of felony. It's Title IV. So I think that's it. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll keep you updated. Woo!
Excellent.
All right.
I don't know how to turn it up.
If any one of the viewers knows how to convert a VLC file to an MP4, please contact me at the email coming up in a second so I can get the hearing uploaded to YouTube, and then you guys can hear for yourself. And here's the donations page and all my contact info, because I just recently filed a notice of appeal into the case and it is pending. These videos, research, document creation, and the like require an enormous amount of time and effort, so anyone out there willing to join in the fight, please throw some in the pot to keep moving this train down the tracks until it finds justice.